This episode and every episode of the NorCalEx Cast podcast is brought to you by thecafeketo.com. You can find their baked goods at the Vasilius Farmers Market every Saturday, where they feature a few of the menu's items and rotate them each week. You can also place orders online, large quantities only, please, as they are baked to order. You receive the freshest that the Cafe Keto has to offer. New additions are constantly being made to their entire menu. See how the Cafe Keto works and get yours today. That's thecafeketo.com. This episode is also brought to you by bridgecoffeeco.com. Come visit the roastery. They are now located at 101 Clark Avenue, Yuba City, California, 95901. Yuba City is a small agricultural town about 30 to 45 minutes north of Sacramento. They now have a brick and mortar business. They started online. They're open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're a small batch nano craft coffee roaster. They source premium special grade coffee from around the world. They carefully select green coffees that are profiled, cupped, and roasted in small batches. Everything they do is fresh. That's one of my favorite roasteries around here. I mean, of course, I don't live far from Yuba City. And I love buying their whole beans and just grinding them in my grinder and having my own French press. I love Bridge Coffee Co. Please visit them at bridgecoffeeco.com. This episode and every episode is also brought to you by eltorero530.com. Come visit us, Marysville, California. 1421 B Street. B Street also has Highway 70, Highway 20. On the way up to Oroville or Chico, you could see us. We're in the same building as a Dollar Tree store, across the street from the Gold Sox building, at the edge of Ellis Lake. They've been in Marysville since 2001, so they're going on 17 years in May of this year. Check out the website, eltorero530.com. Check out our Instagram. Soon they'll have an online store with spices and special cuts in the near future. Again, eltorero530.com.
All of Northern California is out of a drought.
Nearly 200,000 people remain evacuated with no clear indication on when they can return home. Several environmental groups warned of a potential catastrophe similar to this.
Crews working overtime, dropping boulders to secure Oroville's emergency spillway.
Earlier, the biggest burning in Yuba County, forcing residents out of their homes. Another destroyed vineyards in Livermore.
Let me be clear that cities that have sanctuary status are engaging in their legal right.
So you're ready to go to jail over this?
Yes.
California opening 2018 with its first legal recreational marijuana sale.
Buy and possess for anyone 21 and over. Lines forming outside dispensaries from Oakland to San Diego.
Today with me, Dave Madden. Dave Madden's an MMA blogger. He's been on episode 50 and I believe episode 70. So he's 3 times now on the show. And I'm excited to say that I've been working with Dave on his MMA Gold podcast. And we might be having different podcasts here in the near future. The details aren't hashed out yet, but we'll know soon. We're both big fanatics of Northern California and MMA in general, and we know it's an underserved community. It's kind of hard to know what's going on, and there's a lot of local and regional events. And Dave was recently at UFC Sacramento. Was that the name of it, or
UFC on Fox
UFC
22?
on Fox?
I think is the detailed, specific scientific name.
So have you been to every UFC card here in Sacramento, or is this the latest one you've been to, Dave?
No, well, and actually, before we go too far, I mean, thank you for actually helping with the podcast and setting that stuff up. And I think it's more just that exposure where, you know, I think people in the world got to see it because that show at UFC Sacramento, I think it got 4 million views, and that's 4 times the record. And
I think it might have been more than that. Like I was hearing on The Fighter and the Kid that it was the most highest viewed.
Rated, yeah,
highest viewed.
I think I heard 4 million, but it could be, I could very well be off. But it was, I haven't been to all the ones that were here in Sacramento. The last one I was at was a WEC. I don't remember the number, but it was Faber versus Pulver when he beats him in his hometown. It was so exciting. The last UFC, I know it had Pettis on it. I couldn't tell you the number, but anyways, I didn't go to them. I remember from WEC, I was up in the nosebleeds, and it felt like, have you ever been to an NFL game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt like on TV, NFL is so big, and it feels so untouchable, I guess. Like, it just feels like, wow, everything's so large. But then you get there, and you sit there, and everything's so small, and even at a UFC Sacramento, I had pretty good seats, actually. I was 7 or 8 rows up, and it was fun. The atmosphere was there. It was so loud when the hometown guys come out, but it just wasn't as fun as maybe TV. And that maybe sounds weird, but I go to lots of local shows like you were introducing, and you get that same feel. The hometown kid, the family creates this pop. It's so fun, the atmosphere. It was the same thing, only I had to pay more to go do it. So,
what time did you show up? I remember I was watching like at 3 in the afternoon. Am I exaggerating?
No, it was I think
long.
Even earlier. No, it was like at 12, maybe even 30 in the afternoon, and it was freezing cold. And
inside the new
outside,
okay.
Just to getting there, it was freezing cold. I got there way too early. People were there before me, so I don't feel too odd for being there way too early. I mean, I was there like an hour and a half early. I had never been to the Golden One Center, just like where do you park, and just figuring it all out. But
where do you park? Was it hard finding parking?
It wasn't impossible. I think because I got there so early, maybe it really helped. But it was.
Is there a new parking garage?
I didn't look into that. I found a little public parking spot, and it looked like they house tons of spots. Like maybe there's lots of those. So. Maybe parking's not that big of an issue, but I just didn't know, and I hadn't been to the
Did you
arena.
Did you check out the arena like prior that you got there, or were you just kind of not thinking about it's a new arena?
No, I did. That was a piece I was kind of interested in, was how was it? So when I was walking up to the arena, it's on J Street, just that street that's going to be in perpetual construction for the rest of our lives, probably. And so you saw the Golden One sign. But it looked like the Golden One Credit Union, like where I want to go get a car. So I thought, no, that's not really it, right? And then, so anyways, you keep walking, and then you basically like go around the complex that like is where it's hidden by J Street's construction, and it kind of appears, in this like, oh wow, like what a nice looking arena, just kind of comes out of nowhere. But when you get inside, it's beautiful. It was really really nice, and the way they had the seating, it kind of gradually ascended nicely, I felt, so it was a good view for everyone, and seats were comfy, and but yeah, man, I think it was a great venue. Maybe you get the same thing at all the other shows, with all the same buzz and fun. It was just more people,
What was it, sold out?
It was, and I saw something where it was close to, this is why I just was surprised how greatly viewed it was, because I heard, oh wow, it's hardly any tickets left, wow, it's almost a sellout, and it seemed like there were a lot of empty seats. It was full. I mean, it was definitely there was a lot of full seats, but it seemed like there were quite a few empty ones too. So no, it wasn't sold out for sure.
Well, I think that the whole reason it probably had the highest viewer rating, Paige Van Zandt, Dancing with the Stars, and I'm sure the UFC wasn't happy with Paige Van Zandt getting choked out, right?
With the Karate Hottie doing her thing. Yeah, no, that was 100% it. It was the entourage of Sage and Paige, and a beauty pageant, and the Dancing with the Stars thing was a huge piece. Uriah Faber retiring. I mean, there are other storylines to make this event grow, but yeah, the Dancing with the Stars one is big. And yeah, man, they had to be unhappy. I remember there was a meme. Oh man, it was around that time when Sage and Paige and Connor and they were all on Dana's, happy list. It was like around this time last year, actually, maybe, where they hadn't lost, and these are the next big things. Oh, Rhonda, the next big things. And then as they started losing, the memes coming out again where they're all getting X'd out. Paige had a loss previously in a battle that, you gain nothing but respect for her. Do you remember that one with Rose? And
I sure do.
She was so bloody and
almost like a mirror image of Uriah Faber, right? Like when he broke both his fists. What was it against Brown? Yeah, it was against Brown. So I remember that.
Yeah.
Even I remember the last one I saw there was a WC against Jose Aldo, and just those leg kicks and how and he wouldn't fucking stop. His legs are torn up, and then that's when I grew a lot of respect for him. I was just like, this guy isn't giving up. And that's kind of like why I love MMA so much, is it's kind of real life. There's no guarantee that you're going to win, even though you're on the top, and somebody at the bottom who's striving can come in there and dethrone somebody. Look at Nate Diaz, right? Look at Michelle Watterson. Look at Holly Holmes. How many people keep doing it? That's why I love it, because there is no way of knowing who the hell's going to win. You really don't know. Like I'm excited with this new UFC coming up. But before we get into that, was there any fights at the arena, like, in the crowd? Because that's one thing I remember seeing often is, people there's family members and friends in the audience. So if you hear somebody talking shit about your person, you're going to back them up. So nothing like that.
I wonder if it's even that always is the family, because I wonder too if it's just the fights, the drinking, the atmosphere. You say something wrong or offbeat, like you're saying, and then they go at it. No, nothing like that. I remember that also at the WEC I went to, because I'm at the top level, and all you saw is this mosh pit happen. All you saw is another mosh pit happen. And I thought, man, there were 14 fights on the card, but I got to see about 27 of them. And I didn't see one.
Security must be tighter than maybe. Or people are just more grounded.
Maybe. It was interesting. I felt like when I went to go, it was so much like the regional scene for me, because I'm seeing all these people I see at all the local shows. And they paid buku bucks to get on the floor. I thought, ooh, I like where you're at, but
how much were those tickets going for down on the bottom, Dave?
Oh, mine were 2, and I was, like I said, like 5-7 rows back. And I mean, I think I looked at it like 800 maybe, but who knows where you get a ticket from, or you get it from here, you get it from
there. Do they bring a meal to you?
I don't know. Yeah,
probably not.
Better give you something really amazing. And again, I mean, how much better are those seats? Yes, it's more fun, but the way the fighters walked out, you're almost better off kind of at where I would be, right? Just over more, because then you could have seen right where they walk out, and everywhere kind of had a great seat. I couldn't see a bad one. It seems small to me, Golden One, because I remember Arco just felt like the upper deck went up high and back, but this one, it seemed like it didn't go very high and it didn't go very deep.
It's almost like the audience is on top.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. So it made kind of a cool, like that old theatrical, theater feel, but, so probably everyone had a good view, but yeah, it was just fun. When the hometown guys came out, it was that huge pop, and you expected that, and people just, screaming the whole time. And so it was fun, but also too, it had a lot of boring fights. I don't know if you remember, some of them were just these boring decisions. And so maybe that zapped a lot of the buzz, and I know when I watch fights, normally I love to interact with Twitter, and you miss a lot of it when you're just doing it through your phone or watching live. Or so anyways, there were just pieces that were missing that I feel like I'm really used to, that make it a whole maybe experience of interacting with the sport more so, than just like sitting there idly and taking in. Because, some of those fights were pretty boring, actually, and they heard me boo. I let them know.
I was excited to see Josh Emmett fight. I was telling my brother-in-law about him, and he's not a big sports enthusiast, but was Joe Ban on there too? Mm-hmm. Okay. So he liked the Joe Ban, and he also liked the Josh Emmett one, because the Josh Emmett one was pretty close. They were pretty evenly matched. So,
and you had him on a show, and he's such a fun interview, such a nice guy. It's hard not to root for him. He just brings it, and I agreed. He put something out after his fight with Scott Holtzman, who he was like 9-1. So tough, and he put out, man, I should have got that fight of the night. I agree. Leslie Smith deserved it too, so it should have been one of those like dual fight of the nights.
Who did get fight of the night?
Leslie Smith and Irene Aldana. And so, anyways, it should have been one of those dual ones, because they put it on and they didn't stop. And Emmett, I've seen him. I saw him at the local scene before he left it, and then his fight where he got his finger kicked off by John Tuck, and you never saw him gas. I mean, watching previous videos of him to just research him, it was. He never gassed, and you could see him taking these huge breaths, and so you knew that was a scrap, and so he deserved it, and I agreed, and he tried to generate that buzz, so I hope they gave him something.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more of him next year. I think it took him a while to get back on, right? Since, what was it, May? Was it May that he fought in Europe?
With his finger?
Yeah.
It's been a little while, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know the specific day, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I really liked it, Josh. It just, once you get a feel for certain fighters, and you become instant fans, and you're just always there, on their corner cheering for them. So what do you think about 207 right here coming up? I'm really interested in the Cain Velasquez Verdum fight. No elevation.
Well, you heard he got injured, or not injured.
Well, he needs to have surgery on his back, right?
So he got pulled by the NAC.
What?
Yeah. No,
when did this happen?
Recently, where it was
today?
No. Maybe yesterday I started seeing the people posting about,
So he's out?
That's so he kept saying he's in. He kept, but you saw people tweeting about he's out, so you're like, whoa, Brett Okamoto, who, he's this journalist who gets he's one of the number one stories, he gets it with ESPN, and he tweets out something like that, and you're like, whoa, but Cain just said he's in. Like 4 minutes after you post that, wait, what's that? And so you couldn't follow. And then after, anyways, it comes out that the Nevada State Athletic Commission pulled him and said because of medical reasons. And so,
do you know the details?
No, I guess you kind of said it, like a back injury and he needs surgery. And
well, I don't know if it was a Fighter and the Kid where I heard that, or MMA, the Ariel Awani show, but he was, because you said, I remember I've been seeing some of your tweets, him playing the hokey pokey in and out. Mm-hmm. And he's always hurt. And it's unfortunate because, everybody at AKA, they're all animals, and they're always going hard. And it always seems like something's wrong with him. And he's so stoic to be fighting with all these damn injuries. And that's probably why he's lost, because he's always fighting hurt, and I don't think he's ever 100%. Or like when I saw him fight against Travis Brown, I was surprised. The wheel kick, did that get louder just all of a sudden? You didn't hear
no, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, it felt like it got louder. I don't know. No, but
no?
Maybe it's just my microphone. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no.
We'll edit that out. But I remember the wheel kick, right? He never threw any kind of kick, and then you saw him just like put a barrage on Travis Brown, and I was like, fuck. Yeah. He's looking like Luke Rockhold out there, right? Throwing these kicks and everything. So I was excited, and I was like, finally, he looks ready. But unfortunately, did they find a replacement for him, or is going to be no heavyweight?
No, from what I hear, they're not going to give him one, and I don't know the reason or justification. You see people tweeting out or saying how UFC hates Fabricio Verdum because of his comments about Reebok, and they're getting back at him. Who knows how much of that's true? There is a definite political game to this game, for sure. But it seems like they're not. And actually, I'm a little disappointed in Verdum because he is, an ex-champion. He definitely presented himself as a way before his recent Travis Brown fight, but he presented himself as like a champion. He was a family guy. He's this guy. He's a good guy. He speaks these different languages. And then, the happy face I could have done without. I mean, anyone who Googles Verdum's happy face, he did that nonstop. And I attribute the loss to him doing that stupid face too much. But, anyways, he comes out after his loss to Stipe, and he just seems more angry, and he's made these comments about Reebok. And recently people were, I guess, asking for JDS, like, hey, Junior Dos Santos, let's go. And Verdum makes some comments about like he's a closet homosexual, and how much of that is banter to stir the pot, but there's not going to be a fight happening, so why do we have to say that kind of stuff, I guess? But I don't know, that's just my take on like why go there with JDS? Like, he's such a nice, he's awesome, man. I mean, he's so like a part of the martial arts, like he's just such a badass too. I mean, why? He's your countryman, right? I don't know. Seems so confusing to me, but that's where he wanted to go with it, I guess.
Well, I think Verdum also sees everything, and he sees that you have to put yourself out there. Good guy, bad guy, it doesn't matter, right? You have to get some more attention because MMA, it's growing, but it's not mainstream, People only kind of watch, like, I remember CM Punk, I think they were happy if it made 300 pay-per-view buys, and I think it surpassed that. It was like 800,000. 800,000 people. It was way above what they wanted. So you see that. You see the Paige Van Zandt highest view again, Dancing with the Stars, and I even saw your tweet about what's that blonde kid, the actor from Troy.
From who?
From Troy. What's Benjamin Button?
Yeah,
he's the actor. What's his name?
Wasn't it Benjamin Button? Wasn't that?
But when you don't have characters and storylines, but Embedded, I think, is helping with that because I'm a huge fan of Embedded. And has episode 1 came out yet for 207?
I was actually really surprised it hadn't. I thought it might. Well, yesterday was Christmas, and I assumed first thing in the morning, but the whole thing with Ronda not doing any media, and I wondered if that had something to do with it. But it's interesting. You pull up UFC's website, and the first 2, main boxes are about Ronda, but she's the one who's speaking less than anybody. So I'm really surprised they don't have Embedded. I think they had, like you're saying, it is a great episode that kind of tries to take you in and show you a little bit of, maybe what they see and do. But yeah, I'm shocked there isn't one actually, because I guess yesterday was started fight week, but today for sure, right? So,
did you go to the weigh-ins for the UFC Sacramento?
No, I didn't do any of the. I didn't do the open workouts. I didn't go to. I know Team Alpha Male did a really cool seminar. Everything's done at a time where if you have a day job, like you're left out. I mean, really. And had I been granted press credentials, I don't know, man, to say like to get subs and stuff, to do work on top of work to go do an extra job that's a hobby, that seems silly to me, but that's a lot of extra. I might have, because it's the UFC and that experience, but I never even tried for press credentials because the numbers you need are just so tremendous. Even though there were a bunch of empty tables, down there, I thought, well, why can't I sit next to John Morgan, right? I can talk to John Morgan. I like him. But, anyways, they have their rules. But like I said, I never even applied. And but, yeah, there are all sorts of, things. But, like, yeah, man, if you have a day job, You're left out. Come on, MMA.
Speaking about press credentials, didn't you just get your first one with your new website, MMA NorCal? Or is it NorCal MMA?
NorCalMixedMartialArts.com. And thanks for pointing it out. It's an amateur show, but I just feel like it's my first. And actually, I did a recap on one of the promotions I went to in Vallejo. It was called Cage Combat. It was my first article I just put up on that site, was the recap of that event, which was a fun one. Again, an amateur show. But you go contribute to these sites and they'll take everything you give them. And I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, I host MMA Gold's website and post articles about them. And hey, man, anyone want to write about MMA Gold? I'll host your articles too. And it's not even a money thing. It's nothing about that. But it's like, I'm just giving you this. Why not just make my own? I already went to all the promotions around the region, and I'm, friends with and connected with the presidents of promotions and this. So why not just, I'm already going myself, They don't even care where I'm publishing an article about them. They just think it's great to have that publicity and, here's something out there about us. And so they're more than welcoming. And so, it's pretty cool to be invited as like, here's your own site or whatever. So, because that's all these places mostly are sites.
And it's funny how from MMA Gold, from writing an article to helping promote the fighters. I remember you and I talking about on this podcast about how we just want to help people. I want to help my guests promote their business or podcast or book, anything. And a lot of people don't understand anything about marketing or how important podcasting is, because the more transparent you are, the more you're kind of doing what you love, things just slowly start working out for you. I mean, for me, right, in July, I was working at the casino, and finally I just said, forget it. I'm going to figure out, how to make this work. And slowly I've been getting other jobs from you and other people online, and things are slowly beginning to take place, and not as quickly as I'd like, but it's slowly just doors are opening left and right. And if I was working at the casino right now, I wouldn't even be here right now talking with you. Maybe Dave, but it's almost impossible. It's impossible to do two things at once and be good at one thing.
Right.
And when I started the podcast, this was kind of my hope and aspirations, was kind of set up some kind of business or network with the people I'm talking with, because there's just so many interesting things. And like you said, there's so many things nobody really can know. And why you don't need ESPN and NBC, or you don't need any of that. You could do it all by yourself. Like, I don't know if you've been watching or listening to The Fighter and the Kid, everything that they're going through about getting kicked off of Fox, and Fox wanted half of their advertising revenue. And
I haven't heard a recent episode for like maybe a couple weeks, but yeah, it was interesting. Exactly the same idea. They're creating this. Their show's entertaining. They bring on these really interesting guests. Brian Callen himself, he's so funny, and so they're producing this like really great product that people obviously enjoy. And why do that for Fox? Why not do it themselves? And it does sound hard, but that's what they really want to do. The podcasting thing, I remember us talking actually on one of your shows was, no, podcasting really isn't my thing. And it's funny that like I host a podcast now, but it's still not really my thing. It's more of I go and I interview these fighters at MMA Gold who, you just start rambling off like all the regional stars and actually, in the UFC and Invictus stars, and you interview them anyways. Why not, I guess, record it? And then, the team's manager likes everything kind of this like in-house thing and this like MMA Gold package. And so it seemed like, all right, you already got the site. You let me publish articles on about the team. And okay, I know this guy Amato who will help us put this podcast together. And then, why not? I guess, so it's definitely still not like my thing for sure, but it is fun, and I do enjoy sitting with them. But in the end, I still, like I think I even shared last time, I just prefer to write articles about it and just sit in my own little space with it for sure.
What are some of the difficulties you see of hosting and having your own podcast, just from your point of view of just so people can kind of comprehend? Because I used to think too, like when I wanted to start one, I was like, I just talk into a fucking microphone and it'll get easier. But, people have busy schedules and some people don't share or don't help promote their episodes. Some people do, some people don't. But what do you feel are some of the hard things that you're seeing from doing your own kind of podcast? Sir?
It's not even just the podcast. It's, I don't know if it's a communication thing that just kind of travels everywhere, at your work or in your hobbies or your podcast or, you want to get a press credential to this event and you message them and you even know who they are and they know who you are. And it just, like, they wait until the last minute, and I'm not a last minute kind of person. So when you start putting me up against the clock, I get a little anxious, but it's so I like to be planned out. And I guess if that doesn't fit well with me, I'm going to get a little frustrated when it's, well, where are you? Oh, you're this much late. Okay. Well, I mean, you're thinking this time, and then just the budgeting everyone's schedule. And, that's a big one is everyone's different schedule and the time to sit and do it sometimes, even though I think, like you're saying, the sharing and the promoting of, I mean, why do I want to sit down with Aspen Ladd, who has a fight coming up at Invicta? Well, one, because she's a badass fighter, and it's cool to share that space with them, because for me, I guess it's been nothing but positive, I guess, where it's kind of brought me more into that world of MMA. I bring to them, like we were saying, what other people are saying. And I bring to them like things that I hear on UFC events. And then they always, not always, but most often that's not really how it is. Sam Toomer, he recently fought at Global Knockout. He's got another one coming up at Global Knockout in March. The guy's 10-1, so athletic, so creative, so fun to watch. Well, anyways, he earned Fight of the Night in his last fight. Badass fight. Fought the Tachi Palace champion at Global Knockout. Comprehend that, everybody. Welcome to the local scene, right? I mean, that's what it is, too. It's like all these different